It's unbelievable, the most fiery and dramatic political showdown in television history just exploded on live air, leaving the entire nation of America in shock on the stage of Face. Off a program renowned for its sharp debates, Karoline Leavitt decisively took down Cheryl Sarkisian, the legendary Hollywood star cultural icon, and one of the most vocal anti-Trump figures. For a long time, Cher has used her influence to attack conservatives, frequently posting scathing criticisms on social media where she called the Trump administration a disaster and a threat to American values. She is a loud voice for progressive culture, revered by Hollywood and many in the entertainment industry. As an anti-mega beacon, no one imagined that one day that voice would be publicly challenged and even defeated by a young figure not from Hollywood, but from the cutthroat political arena of Washington. As the debate reached its climax, Leavitt dropped a bombshell that not only left Cher speechless, but also made the entire studio audience hold their breath. Never before had a Hollywood icon been taken down on stage like this, and never before had a young figure like Leavitt stepped into the spotlight with such immense media force. The studio that night was nothing short of a high-stakes arena, blazing lights, pulsating opening music, and an atmosphere taut as a bowstring. As the opening music faded, the host stepped into the center of the stage carrying the calm of a referee in the most anticipated verbal battle of the year. He paused for a beat, his eyes sweeping over the breathless audience, then spoke in a warm, commanding tone, drawing all attention. Welcome to Face Off, where uncompromising debates between politics and pop culture are brought to light. Tonight, you will witness an unprecedented showdown between two generations, two ideologies, and two icons. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in American history, and Cher, the music legend who never hesitates to speak out on burning political issues. A wave of applause erupted, but quickly subsided as he continued, his gaze fixed on the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, the Trump administration's deportation policy is currently a red-hot topic, and Cher, you've publicly criticized this policy on social media, calling it a humanitarian disaster. We'd love to hear more about your perspective on this highly contentious issue. Cher, microphone in hand, began with a deep, resonant voice, as if telling a tragic story. This deportation policy is a crime against humanity, she declared, each word like a chisel striking the audience's hearts. They're driving out mothers, fathers, children, just because they dare to dream of a better life. This is cruelty, not the America I believe in. Cher emphasized, her voice trembling, as if singing a heartbreaking ballad. I've heard stories of children losing their parents, of people fleeing war, being pushed into despair. America must be a place of compassion, not division. The audience was split. Some clapped, enthusiastically moved by Cher's plea. Others muttered in dissent, waiting for Leavitt's response. The host, with the finesse of a seasoned moderator, smoothly shifted gears to keep the show's rhythm. Cher has presented an emotional perspective, emphasizing the humanitarian aspect. Karoline, how do you respond to this argument, especially when Cher calls this policy cruel? Leavitt, composed like a strategist, her voice clear and sharp as a well-prepared speech, began. I empathize with Cher's passion, but passion cannot replace responsibility. She said, her tone polite yet firm, like an analyst dissecting an issue. The deportation policy isn't about cruelty. It's about protecting the interests of the American people, workers, families who are harmed by illegal immigration. She shifted to a more assertive tone, as if addressing a panel. Let's face reality. Illegal immigration depresses wages for American workers, especially in industries like manufacturing and services. Studies show that crime from illegal immigration costs billions of dollars annually. We cannot ignore these impacts just because of emotional stories. The audience fell silent, some nodding, drawn into Leavitt's reasoning. The host, sensing the heat, interjected with a pointed question to push the debate deeper. Karoline, you emphasize responsibility and numbers, but Cher speaks of families torn apart, children traumatized. Do you think this policy is sacrificing humanity for economic gain? The host maintained a neutral tone, but his question challenged Leavitt while opening the door for Cher to counter. Cher, seizing the moment, gripped the microphone, her voice soaring. As if in a peak performance, numbers can't hide the pain. She retorted, her tone brimming with indignation. These immigrants aren't criminals. They're people fleeing poverty. War deporting them erases the American dream, betrays the value of compassion. Cher tried to pull the audience to her side, emphasizing each word to stir emotions, but the applause dwindled as if the audience was waiting for Leavitt's response. Leavitt, with the confidence of someone holding the upper hand, responded in a calm yet razor-sharp tone. The American dream isn't a right to break the law. She countered like an orator delivering a closing argument. We welcome legal immigration, people who respect the process, contribute to the country, but illegal immigration is unfair to those who wait the right way. Share, you talk about compassion, but have you thought about American workers losing jobs to cheap illegal labor? They have families, dreams too. Leavitt's words landed like a direct blow. The audience gasped, some clapping, clearly swayed the host with a smooth, moderating flair, quickly escalated the drama. Karoline just delivered a sharp argument about justice. Share, do you want to respond and defend your humanitarian stance? The host leaned towards Cher's tone, encouraging yet professional, deftly guiding her to reclaim the floor. Cher took a deep breath, trying to stay composed, but her voice betrayed tension. I don't need numbers to know what's right, she said, but her words lacked their initial strength. I spent my life fighting for the underdog. Karoline, you're just a spokesperson parroting Trump like a machine. Cher tried a personal attack, hoping to rattle Leavitt, but the tactic quickly backfired. The host swiftly intervened with neutral yet refined demeanor. He said, an emotionally charged and profound exchange. Cher, do you have anything to add? Before we move to the next topic, Cher paused for a moment. She shook her head slightly, then answered briefly. I can't argue with someone who has no heart. Though her words seemed defiant, they rang out like a hollow echo in a space, tilting heavily toward Leavitt. Not missing a beat, Leavitt declared, heart must go hand in hand with reason. Share, the deportation policy is about fairness for forgotten American citizens. If you truly want change, bring solutions to the table, not to a performance. Stage, the applause erupted again, this time louder and more sustained. The studio fell silent for a moment, not from a lack of tension, but because everyone felt the palpable shift in the balance of power on stage. The host stepped forward, his sharp gaze sweeping over the two adversaries and turning to the audience, as if preparing for the second act of a breathless showdown. Ladies and gentlemen, after a heated debate on immigration, deportation, where reason and emotion fiercely clashed, let's now move to another equally contentious topic, the economic tariff policy under President Trump. Few murmurs rippled through the room. The cameras shifted, capturing the expressions of both Cher and Leavitt, one regaining composure, the other poised to strike again. The host continued, his voice steady and firm. Cher, in a recent post on X, you described this tariff policy as a burden crushing the working class. Can you now clarify your stance for the nationwide audience? Cher began with an impassioned voice. Trump's tariffs are a blow to the American people, she declared, each word like an accusation. They make everything more expensive, from the milk for your kids to the clothes you wear. I know working families who are struggling mothers, counting every penny as prices soar. This isn't how you help America. It's how you choke the poor. Cher emphasized, her voice rising, as if singing a protest anthem, trying to sway the audience with emotion. Trump thinks this is a win, but the people are paying the price. The host, keeping the energy high, immediately steered the conversation. Cher just made a powerful case that tariffs harm consumers. Karoline, how do you respond to this accusation, particularly regarding the impact on working families? The host looked at Leavitt, his tone sharp, setting up a tense face-off. Leavitt, her voice clear and incisive, began, I understand Cher's concern about prices, but viewing the issue through an emotional lens isn't enough, she said, her tone polite but firm, like a strategist analyzing data. Tariffs aren't a burden. They're a strategy to rebuild the American economy. They protect domestic industries and bring jobs back to workers. She shifted to a more forceful tone, as if addressing a panel. Look at the numbers. Since tariffs were imposed, the steel industry has added tens of thousands of jobs in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Auto factories are returning to America, reducing reliance on imports. Tariffs are an investment in the future, not a short-term cost. The audience fell silent, some nodding, drawn into Leavitt's argument. The host, sensing the intensity, interjected with a sharp question to deepen the debate. Karoline, you emphasize long-term benefits, but Cher speaks of the immediate struggles for consumers. Do you think tariffs are making people pay too high a price? Cher, not missing a beat, erupted. Immediate struggles, that's the real life of the people, she retorted, her voice brimming with outrage. Workers don't care about factories in Ohio when they can't afford groceries. Tariffs are a foolish mistake, only enriching the elite, not ordinary people. Cher tried to rally the audience, emphasizing each word to ignite emotion, but the applause weakened as if the audience awaited Leavitt's response. Leavitt, with the confidence of someone holding the upper hand, responded in a calm yet razor-sharp tone, people need jobs to buy groceries. Cher, she countered like an orator delivering a closing statement. Tariffs protect millions of American workers from unfair competition by cheap imports. We've seen factories close communities crumble due to globalization. Tariffs are how we take back what America's shared talk about workers. But do you know that thanks to tariffs, thousands of families in the Rust Belt have stable jobs? Or are you only concerned with the price of imported luxury goods? Leavitt's words landed like a direct hit. The audience gasped some clapping, clearly convinced the host with his smooth, moderating flair quickly heightened the drama. Karoline just defended tariffs as an economic strategy. Cher, do you want to respond to bolster your argument? Cher took a deep breath, trying to stay composed, but her voice betrayed tension. I don't need to know about the Rust Belt to understand people are suffering, she said, but her words lacked their initial force. Karoline, you stand there reciting numbers like a machine. But do you know what it's like to choose between buying milk or paying the electric bill? Tariffs are punch to the poor. Cher tried a personal attack, hoping to unsettle Liv, but the tactic quickly backfired. Leavitt, unshaken, responded with a piercing tone. I'm not reciting numbers, Chair, I'm talking reality. She said like a strategist closing a chess match. The reality is tariffs have brought jobs growth and economic independence to America. The reality is American workers deserve protection, not abandonment for cheap imports. If you care about the poor, support policies that keep jobs in America, not criticized from afar. Leavitt's words were a final sparking. An eruption of audience applause. Cher, helpless, only shook her head slightly. Leavitt, you don't understand the people, she said. Leavitt immediately fired back. Understanding the people means giving them jobs. Cher, tariffs are the future of a strong America. If you want to help bring ideas, not emotions. The applause instantly roared louder and longer than before. The audience once again leaned heavily toward Leavitt with calm authority. The host stepped forward, his gaze sweeping over the two guests before locking onto the camera. Clearly, both emotion and reason have clashed fiercely on this stage. But there's something even more critical than policy consistency in words and actions. And the question is, do those who speak boldly for their ideals truly live up to what they proclaim? Cher, you once vowed to leave America if Trump won, yet you're still here, continuing to criticize. Explain your stance. To kick this off, Cher began with a voice full of pride, as if defending her reputation on a grand stage. I don't need to leave to prove my love for America. She declared, each word a defiant affirmation. When I said that I was warning about what Trump would bring: division, injustice, chaos, I stayed, because I want to fight to protect the values this country stands for. Cher emphasized, her voice lowering, as if telling a story of loyalty. I've dedicated my life to art and social justice. Staying is how I resist Trump, not run away. The host, looking at Leavitt, his tone sharp, said Cher just defended her decision to stay as an act of resistance. Karoline, what do you think about the consistency of Cher's words, especially when she vowed to leave? Leavitt, still composed like an analyst, her voice clear, began, I respect Cher's passion, but words must match actions. She said, her tone polite but firm. You vowed to leave America if Trump won, yet you're still here, continuing to criticize from a safe position. That's not resistance, it's performance. She shifted to a more forceful tone, as if addressing a jury. When you make a promise to the public, you're accountable. Your vow led many to believe you'd act, but you chose to stay enjoying fame and wealth. That's inconsistency. Cher, the audience fell silent, some nodding, drawn into Leavitt's argument. The host, sensing the heat, interjected with a sharp question to deepen the debate. Karoline, you call performance, but Cher says staying is her way of fighting. Do you think she's insincere, or is this just a matter of how she expresses herself? I'm not performing, I'm living true to myself. Cher retorted, her voice brimming with indignation. I stayed to protect those trampled by Trump: women, immigrants, the LGBTQ community. Karoline, who are you to judge me? You're just a young spokesperson reciting Trump's script like a puppet. Cher tried a personal attack, emphasizing each word to rally audience support, but the applause dwindled as if they were waiting for Leavitt's response. Leavitt, with the confidence of someone holding the upper hand, responded in a calm yet razor-sharp tone. Sincerity isn't saying things that sound good. Cher, sincerity is keeping your promises. You say you fight, but you fight from $1 million mansion while everyday Americans face reality. I may be young, but I don't promise what I won't. You vowed to leave, yet you stayed, turning your words into a joke. Leavitt emphasized, her voice like a slashing blade, making the audience gasp, some clapping. Clearly convinced, the host quickly escalated the drama. Karoline just made a strong accusation about consistency. Cher, do you want to respond? To defend your reputation, Cher took a deep breath, trying to stay composed, but her voice betrayed tension. I don't need to prove anything to you, she said, but her words lacked their initial strength. I've dedicated my life to the people, while you just parrot Trump. My reputation is bigger than any promise. Cher tried to defend her legacy, but her voice was like a song out of tune, no longer captivating. Leavitt responded with a piercing tone. Reputation doesn't replace responsibility. Cher, she So like a strategist closing a chess match you vowed to. Leave, but you stayed, disappointing those who believe your consistency is a foundation of trust, and you've lost it. If you want respect, keep your word, not just speak eloquently. Leavitt's words were a knockout blow, sparking an eruption of audience. Applause the host with commanding demeanor and a voice full of energy, opened with provocative statement. Ladies and gentlemen, we've witnessed a debate between two powerful personalities. Karoline Leavitt representing a sharp, resolute new generation chair, a cultural icon who has shaped thought across decades. But the question is, in a world changing by the hour, does a voice from the past still carry weight in the present? The host continued his tone, professional, yet subtly pressuring. Chair, you're seen as a timeless icon in music and social activism. But today, some argue your views no longer represent the younger generation on social media. The segment Gen Z says the values you fought for are becoming outdated. What do you think about that? And do you believe your cultural influence can still shape America's future? Chair declared, I've shaped culture for decades, from music and film to fighting for justice. I've inspired millions. I stood up for women, the LGBTQ community, the oppressed. The younger generation needs me, needs of progressive values. I represent. Chair emphasized, her voice brimming with emotion, as if singing an anthem of her legacy. I'm not just a singer, I'm a voice for change, and I won't be sidelined. The host leaned slightly toward Leavitt, his gaze focused, his voice still calm, but now tinged with challenge. Chair just affirmed her role as a cultural icon, emphasizing progressive values. Karoline, what do you think about Chair's influence on today's youth? Leavitt began, her voice steady. I respect Chair's musical legacy, but culture doesn't stand still. Today's youth, Gen Z millennials, want a strong, independent, realistic America. They're not looking for outdated progressive values from Hollywood, but solutions for job security and the future. She shifted to a more forceful tone, as if rallying a crowd. Chair, you say you represent the youth, but social media tells a different story. They're strongly supporting America First policies, not songs from $1 Million Mansion. The host's piercing gaze seemed to dissect the previous argument. Karoline, you call Chair's values outdated, but she emphasizes her legacy of fighting for justice. Do you think she still has influence with the younger generation, or is her time over? Chair's voice erupted like in a peak performance. Outdated? I changed the world before you were even born, she retorted, brimming with indignation. I fought for equality, for freedom, when people like you were still learning to read. Gen Z loves me because I'm real, because I stand up against people like Trump. Chair tried to rally the audience, emphasizing each word to spark support, but the applause weakened, as if they were waiting for Leavitt's response. Leavitt, with confident poise, responded in a calm yet razor-sharp tone. Being real isn't enough. Chair, she countered like an orator delivering a closing speech. The younger generation doesn't need self-proclaimed icons. They need people who understand their reality, people like me who grew up in a fiercely competitive world. You say you fight Trump, but you fight from an ivory tower, not the streets. Gen Z is choosing the future, not the past. Leavitt emphasized, her voice like a slashing blade, making the audience gasp. Some clapping. Clearly convinced, the host pressed on. Karoline, just challenge Chair's influence. Chair, do you want to respond to defend your legacy? Chair's voice betrayed tension. I don't need you to lecture me about the youth, she said, but her words lacked their initial strength. I've inspired them through music, through action. Karoline, you're just a spokesperson parroting mega slogans like a puppet. Leavitt, unshaken, dropped a decisive bombshell with a piercing tone. Sure, you can sing about turning back time, but you can't turn back the truth, she said, like a strategist closing a chess match. The truth is the younger generation has moved past you. They want a strong America, not songs about the past. I'm here to represent them, not perform. You had your time, but this era belongs to us. The host, maintaining a warm yet energetic tone, closed the show with a resolute statement. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed a nuanced debate where arguments, emotions, and societal views collided. In every word, this wasn't just a showdown. It was a microcosm of the conflicts, hopes, and directions of modern America. The host flashed a slight smile, then turned his gaze to the camera. We know you have plenty of thoughts after this program, and we'll be back with hotter topics, more intriguing figures, and uncompromising debates. The lights slowly dimmed, the closing music swelled, leaving a lingering silence, like an invitation to reflect and prepare for the next verbal battles. After the debate ended, the studio audience couldn't tear themselves away. The room buzzed with excitement and energy, each person grappling with their own thoughts about the clash they just Witness of the program had concluded the tension, and electric atmosphere still lingered in the air backstage, erupted into a flurry of activity. In one corner, media staff were frantically working on phones and laptops. Clips from the show were uploaded to social media platforms, and within minutes, they began spreading at breakneck speed on Twitter. Hashtags related to the showdown dominated the trending charts, while on Instagram, images and short clips from the program were shared and commented on relentlessly. From Karoline Leavitt's sharp-witted remarks to Cher's impassioned reactions, everything became a hot topic that people couldn't stop discussing. All eyes were glued to screens, watching. Engagement numbers soared, tweets and posts from celebrities, political analysts, and fans started flooding in. Some journalists and reporters were already preparing articles about the debate, with excerpts from the clash used as evidence for their points. TV networks and news platforms quickly rolled out reports reflecting on the event, while debate videos sparked an online frenzy, becoming the hot topic of numerous TV shows and podcast attention. Anticipation and curious gazes still echoed in the atmosphere. Participants began leaving backstage, but a shift in their demeanor was palpable. They knew this debate wouldn't end here. Its impact would ripple outward, shaping public opinion and remaining a hot topic for days to come. On social media platforms, debates erupted between supporters and critics of both sides. Younger generations expressed support for Karoline Leavitt, while middle-aged and older fans flocked to Cher's posts to defend their iconic artist. Political groups also began sharing their views, turning the showdown into not just a television spectacle, but a battle over values and influence. The debate's conclusion transformed Leavitt from a young press secretary into a national political icon. Major TV programs scrambled to book her, from conservative talk shows to neutral political forums. Prestigious magazines featured her on their covers with headlines like "The Woman Shaping Mega's Future" or "The One Who Took Down Hollywood Trump from His Platform." Praised her as the fire of a new generation, solidifying her status within the mega movement. Political allies, from young senators to prominent commentators, hailed Leavitt as a model leader, blending sharpness, youth, and media strategy. She became an inspiration for Gen Z, who saw in her a voice for their America First aspirations. Her posts garnered millions of interactions with young people, calling her a trailblazer for a new era. With each post and public statement, Leavitt not only built her personal brand, but also asserted immense influence in steering public discourse. A young, confident, sharp leader who knew how to wield media to win ideological battles, she proved that the younger generation could reshape politics and seemed ready to seize power, delivering the America First vision she and her supporters craved. Meanwhile, Cher faced an inevitable collapse of her public image. The debate not only cost her support among younger audiences, but also created a deep rift with her fan base. Loyal fans still defended her, praising her musical legacy and social activism, but a growing number of younger fans argued she no longer represented them, lacking the closeness to understand and reflect the concerns and aspirations of a new generation. Cher's concerts following the debate no longer drew the crowds they once did. Young audiences, once her ardent followers, now saw her merely as a relic of the past, no longer compelling enough to capture attention. Cher's attempts to regain momentum through social media posts and public statements failed to salvage the situation. Each post was met with fierce backlash, with thousands of comments from Leavitt supporters criticizing her as out of touch, despite continuing to push messages of justice and rights. Cher couldn't deny that her political influence had evaporated. Despite efforts to rebuild her image, public reactions forced her to gradually withdraw from political debates, retreating to music, where she felt safe. The societal impact of the debate extended far beyond the two figures. The clash highlighted the divide between progressive Hollywood and the mega movement, with younger generations gravitating toward pragmatic voices like Leavitt. Social media became the new battleground, where young politicians armed with data and strategy outshone old cultural icons. Commentators noted that this battle marked a power shift from divas like Cher to leaders like Leavitt, who understood how to use TikTok and Instagram to shape public opinion. The public divide grew stark. Cher supporters felt she was unfairly attacked, while Leavitt followers saw her as a symbol of truth and action. The debate became a cultural moment remembered as the day Hollywood lost a mega. Karoline Leavitt legacy became a clear emblem of change in American politics. With her ability to harness social media and sharp media strategy, she not only won debates, but also built a powerful leadership image for the younger generation. Leavitt was not just a defender of mega values, but a voice for pragmatism, desire for change, and strong will of Gen Z. She became the face of those who wanted a stronger, more prosperous, and unified America. Her policies and confident statement sparked a wave of change in national politics. Karoline Leavitt rose as the flag bearer of a new mega generation. She became a symbol of courage, blending oratory skill with modern media strategy, inspiring young people to believe that age doesn't limit influence. Her viral quote echoed across social media. Remembered as a moment mega triumph over Hollywood, Leavitt shaped an era where young politicians took charge of steering culture, challenging old icons. In contrast, Cher, though still a music legend, was no longer a political firebrand. Her defeat by Leavitt marked the decline of an era where divas could sway public opinion unchallenged. She retreated to the music stage, leaving the political arena to figures like Leavitt. From passionate social media posts to tense debates on major TV programs, Leavitt built a formidable media empire. The power shift from old icons like Cher to new leaders like Leavitt was an inevitable part of the digital age, and the rise of a new generation. Leavitt proved that success in modern politics requires not just talent and ambition, but also the ability to connect and lead through platforms. A younger generation uses the story of the showdown between Karoline Leavitt and Cherilyn Sarkisian on the Face Off Talk show reflects deep cultural and political divides in today's American society, particularly the generational, ideological, and social media-driven rifts. In the narrative, Leavitt with sharp arguments and data-dominated Cher, who relied on emotion and legacy across debates on immigration, deportation, terrorists, personal consistency, and cultural influence. Leavitt viral clip, spreading alongside memes mocking Cher, showcased social media power in amplifying youthful, pragmatic voices. Conversely, Cher decline, labeled outdated by Gen Z, highlighted the struggles of old cultural icons facing a generation that prioritizes action over words. The aftermath, Leavitt rising as a mega star, Cher retreating from politics, underscored the power transfer from Hollywood to young leaders using X and TikTok to shape public opinion. The lesson is that in modern American society, where social media shapes perceptions, combining logical arguments with media strategy is key to influence. Like Leavitt, young people must arm themselves with knowledge, use data like tariff-related job statistics, and communicate authentically to persuade. Conversely, Cher reminds us that emotion, however powerful, falls short without consistency and connection to reality. To succeed, emulate Leavitt use of social media to amplify messages, but avoid Cher mistake, making grand promises without follow-through in real life. Listen to Gen Z, act decisively, and build credibility through truth, not just reputation. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to catch more epic media battles like Leavitt taking down Cher. Thank you for watching Face Off, and we'll see you in the next video with even hotter drama.